In a speech that lasted about 1 hour and 12 minutes, he laid out a vision of America's first. Tonight, with a little bit more meat on the bone, some more specifics, saying that he was the fighter for anyone who felt that they were not represented by the Obama administration, saying he is their voice.
Talking about how he will be the voice of the forgotten men and women, and that the American people will come first once again. Trump hitting on all the biggest themes of his campaign. Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo. Talking about how he alone can fix what he said was a rigged system that nobody knows better than him. Repeatedly calling himself a law and order candidate, spending lots of time on his core issue of immigration, free trade, and on it went, saying with him as president, America will be back.
A couple of times talking about Hillary Clinton, the crowd going in to lock her up, and he said, no, let's defeat her in November. Let's bring in our panel.
We've got Brit Hume with us tonight, Chris Wallace, and Tucker Carlson with us all week long. Great to see you. Tucker, what'd you think?
Well, there's going to be a lot of analysis of the style of this speech, the length, the volume, etc. But I was really struck by one thing. Here is a businessman who's not running on a business platform. You heard nothing about entrepreneurship, capital gains tax cuts, the usual panoply of Republican issues. Instead, you heard him attack corporations. You heard him posit himself as the voice of the middle class. He's not a strict conservative. He's not an ideologue in any way. He's really waging war, as he put it, against the elites on behalf of the middle class. He thinks the elites hate the middle class, and he ended, I thought, with the most resonant note of all. I love you. That's kind of what this is about. It is a new Republican Party, win or lose. It is Trump's party. It's a transformation.
Chris Wallace.
Well, I think there are two ways of viewing the speech. The actual words of the speech, we had gotten them several hours ago, and when I read it, I thought it was a really strong speech. As you pointed out, he set it up as a choice between change and the status quo, regular folks versus the elite. I love the line about, for the forgotten men and women of America, I am your voice, but we can't ignore the presentation. And for some reason, he shouted the speech. For some reason, he said each word so slowly that it kind of became an endurance test. And in that sense, I think it was a bit of a missed opportunity.
Britt?
Well, it certainly was emphatic. But I don't think anybody listening to this who expected that there would be new material and ideas here, not departures from what he'd said before, but new material that would cause conservatives, for example, who have had their doubts about him and have not been prepared to support him, and others to say, now that I hadn't heard before, that is new, that is reason for me to rethink my position. What he gave us, I think, was the standard material we've heard from him that is carried in this far. The question is, can these ideas, and therefore this speech, carry him further? I think we'll have to await the verdict of the people on that.
The confetti is raining down. The balloons continue to do the same. Great tunes playing now overhead, and the crowd's starting to feel it a bit.
His biggest calling card, we've said this a long time, has been his family. And Megyn, to hear Ivanka introduce him in the way that she did, and to see yet another child, kind of his calling card, speak of her father in a different way than perhaps we've heard before.
And say outright, I'm not really a Democrat or a Republican. That's not how I look at the world, like a lot of millennials, and offer a very optimistic, she was very optimistic in her tone. Trump was a little bit more foreboding, hitting a lot of the core issues that are plaguing the country right now, without question. There was such a contrast there between the tone and the approach. But it's interesting because every once in a while Trump would slip back into himself as opposed to the teleprompter Trump.
That was the longest
great moments.
The longest time he had spent on a teleprompter, but he wanted to get to that unique, I'm telling you, I believe you.
And even a moment of humility there when he was talking about the evangelicals, who he said have been so good in their support with me. He said, although I'm not sure I totally deserved it.
You know, he did have specifics here, and in one sense, Britt, I think is not hitting the specifics that were laid out here. Not only that, there was historic nature of this, and that is the LGBTQ comments that were interesting in this Republican audience.
Which the LGBTQ community wanted in the Republican platform, and they did not succeed. So Trump sort of went off script on that and said, I'm saying it anyway, and so he did. And what a night, what an end to a 2-year run for president.
But listen, remember, it started in this arena August 6th, 1 year ago. The debate started the primary season. Tonight, it's official that he is the Republican nominee.
And the general election is on. Thank you for trusting us at the Fox News Channel with your coverage tonight. And our coverage continues in a moment. I'm Megyn Kelly.
I'm Bret Baier. Here comes Hannity.